Sherri Leopold here. I am excited to have another Woman of Worth award winner for 2022. And my beautiful award winner today is Lynda Sunshine West. Welcome, Lynda.
And the crowd goes wild. Thank you so much,
I'm
Sherri.
so proud to honor you with this award, Lynda. And we know each other fairly well, but I don't know if everyone else knows you. So I would love for you to share a little bit about Lynda Sunshine West, maybe where that sunshine came from.
Well, first of all, I got to share that, I already came over, an emotion came over me when you said award winner. I don't think I have ever won an award in my life as I look back. And I've won trophies for, like, I was in band, so we won trophies and stuff like that. But that was the whole group, not even myself. And I don't think I've ever won an award. So Sherri, thank you so much. And I had no idea it was going to affect me like this. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Lynda Sunshine. First of all, Sunshine is not my given name. That name was given to me about 5 years ago. I started a personal development journey at age 51, and about 3-4 years into it, somebody randomly called me Sunshine. And I remember when they said it. We were in a bar because my husband and I play in a rock band, and we were in this bar, and a friend came in, and they just looked at me and said, "Hey, Sunshine." And I looked around, and I was like, "Who are they talking to?" And there was nobody standing behind me. It was just me. And I said, "Are you talking to me?" He said, "Yeah, you're Sunshine." And then about a week or two later, someone else, completely random, said the same thing. It happened about 4 times before I said, there might be something here. Maybe I need to pay attention to what they're saying and go ahead and start adopting the name Sunshine. So I did. I officially adopted my name Sunshine. And that was, about 5 years ago. And I officially did it on Facebook because that's where you change your name, right? So then I started just kind of stepping into it and saying, I'm Lynda Sunshine. And now I introduce myself as Lynda Sunshine. So my point here is that it was interesting because at the beginning, didn't know they were talking about me. I didn't believe this about myself. But as it was talked about more and more, and then as I put it on Facebook, I started to believe it myself. And this is how my life has been it's been a little over 7 years since I started my personal development journey. And, I've got a long story and I'll just cut it short. In the last 7 years, I jumped out of entrepreneurship. Jumped out of corporate world. I was in corporate for 36 years. I had 49 jobs in that 36 years. My last job was working for a judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals for my type of work. Like, I had made it. That was it. But I was so bored. I was so bored on that job that I decided to leave. And I jumped into entrepreneurship. I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to do, how I'm going to make any money, who I'm going to serve. I had no idea. So I went on this journey. And here I am today. Now I'm publishing books, and absolutely love this because sharing people's story is something that is near and dear to my heart because I myself was scared to share my story the first 51 years of my life. It was when I started sharing my story that I found that I made an impact on the planet. And that impact was very addictive because it's a positive impact. And now I want to give that to other men and women from all over the world for them to share their stories and make that greater impact on the planet. That's the short story.
So it makes me want to jump up and down. It's so exciting. So I love that, Lynda, and thank you for sharing sort of your journey so people can see. I think sometimes people look at people who have had success in one way or another, and they just, oh, that's the way they've always been. And there really is truly a journey through that whole process, and I think it's amazing that you have just stepped into your own power because that's near and dear to my heart is that stand up and stand out. And that is exactly what you're doing. Well, this award, I want to say, Woman of Worth, is actually really awarded to women who are writing their own history. They're creating their history. They're not waiting for their life to happen. What you just explained is an exact example why you have received this award, because you have the courage and the confidence and the perseverance to write your own story and to create the legacy that you want to leave. So congratulations on
Thank
that.
you. Yeah, I hear that word courage, and it just kind of makes me chuckle because I was not always courageous at all. I spent the first 51 years of my life terrified and terrified to do anything, to step out of my comfort zone. I lived in that little comfort zone. And what's interesting is something that I've discovered, along this journey, is that our comfort zone is sometimes a bad place, but it's what we're comfortable in. I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. And when I was 5 years old, I ran away and I was gone an entire week. Well, what causes a 5-year-old to run away? I did not want to live in that environment. I knew it was wrong at age 5. And so I ran away and I was gone a week. And my mom did know where I was, by the way. I didn't know she knew where I was, but she knew where I was. So after a week, she called the neighbor, which is where I ran away to, and said, Lynda's been gone long enough. You can send her home now. So when I came home riddled with fear because of my dad. And not only that, I was a people pleaser. I became a people pleaser because I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to be the reason dad was mad, right? So I created this environment of comfort, and that comfort zone was not a pleasant environment. Well, here's one thing I just discovered about 6 months ago, Sherri, and this might help some of the viewers here right now, is that because I grew up in that volatile environment was my comfort zone. What I found myself doing on a regular, consistent basis for decades is creating chaos in my own life. So about 6 months ago, I said, what am I doing? I'm doing it again. I'm creating this overwhelm. I'm creating this chaos. And I said, oh my God, I'm repeating that chaos that was comfort for so many years. I feel comfortable being chaotic. And I said, I'm going to change that starting right now. So I got to make a decision at age 58 to change my ways. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 6 months, is figuring out how can I not create chaos, but still create amazing work and still feel good about myself and have that self-care and all these different things. But it was that I was creating it over and over and over again. So if you find yourself beating your head against the wall on a regular basis, look back and figure out why and change it. And that's what, just telling you, it can be done.
Absolutely. And that goes to the say one of my favorite sayings is, choices create change your choices and your choices change. I say that all the time, and that's a perfect example of that. Once you acknowledge something and you change it, you'll find you have different choices that you can make. So thank you so much for that. And that just once again proves why you are a woman of worth, because even as you are being honored right here, you're actually extending an invitation for somebody to improve themselves. And just one of the things that I love about you. So I know you've navigated a lot of struggles and challenges along the way, and that was obviously one of them. And that's recent. And it's, would you agree that there's always going to be something that's going to be a challenge or a struggle in the journey to, happiness and success, that there's always going to be something that you're tackling?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I believe so if you're a person who wants to continue to grow. Because if you don't want to grow, what kind of challenges do you have in your life? I mean, it's just constant, the sameness, For me, yes, there will always be, I don't like to use the word challenge, obstacles, or I don't know. I don't like to see them as like, 'cause those to me are negative connotations. I like to think of positive words. And so I look them as opportunities. And it's just the reframing of the words. Now, by the way, I wasn't always like this. I used to see everything as negative. That was just how I saw the glass was empty. It wasn't even half empty. It was just freaking empty, And so now the glass is overflowing, and I'm constantly reframing the way I speak so that the words that come out of my mouth can be effective in a positive way. Because I love being around positive people. And so I want to be that positive person. So how do I do that? I change the way I think. I change the way I speak. I change the way I show up. Just change everything about who I am. And I've become a completely different person. Sherri, you're going to ask me, I know you're going to ask me this question. And you're going to ask me, when did it change? So I'm just going to tell you.
I was.
It was at age 51. 51 was a huge year for me. And at age 51, I was driving to work one day, working for that judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. I was like, oh my God, this is so boring. I hate my job. I hate my life. I hate everything about it. I'm stuck in traffic every day. And I was just complaining on my way to work. And I said, what is this all about? What is this planet all about? What is the purpose of it? It doesn't make any sense. And I said, what is my purpose on this planet? I didn't have an answer, but I was asking that question out of anger, out of anger. So when I got to work that day, there was a message in a Facebook group, and it said, I'm a life coach. I took some time off and I'm going to get back into it. I'm looking for 5 women who want to change their life. I raised my hand fast as fast could be. And I was like, I don't know who this is. I don't know what a life coach is. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I'm in. And that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, was to raise my hand and say, I'm in, I'm ready to change my life. And on a weekly basis, I changed. And the reason I know this is because people would say to me, you're so different this week than you were last week. It was fast and furious. And I, again, got addicted to the positive change. I had never, been around positive people. I spent my years surrounded by negative people. I was one of those people, but I was ready to change my life. So I embarked on that journey. And that's why I'm here today. Women of worth, a woman of worth. I would not have been a woman of worth, 7 years ago, for sure. For sure.
I love that. And you actually kind of alluded to my next question, which is, because we are, honoring Women's History Month, we want to salute and sort of acknowledge those women who have impacted our journeys along the way. And it sounds like this life coach was one of those people for you that really sort of guided you on what was probably your path you were supposed to be on. Maybe you just didn't know it. Can you speak a little bit about, her and maybe the impact that she's had on your journey?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for asking that. It's interesting is, as you were asking the question, I was thinking, are there other women who have really, really impacted my life in a positive way? And, a lot of people might say, it's my mother, it's my sister, it's friends and all these things. But mine really was this life coach. And like you said, Sherri, I was on a path. We're all on a path, but I was on the wrong path. Not on the opposite path, but I think I was like straddling the right path. I just didn't really know how to get onto that. And, there was something about her that was magical in my life. It was the questions she asked. I hated her on a weekly basis because I was crying so much. Like, I would cry and bawl my eyes out every week when I talked to her, because I had so much pain inside of me that needed to come out. And it was that through that working with her that I came to realize that the tears were actually a cleansing. And it was interesting because I used to be that person who's very sarcastic. Sarcasm is just one way of saying making fun of people, really, is what I did. And it was interesting because during this process, I remember we were at one session and there was something that she was saying, and I started making jokes about it. And she said, stop joking about this. She just looked at me square in the eye and said, stop joking about this, because this is your defense mechanism. Every time something comes up that's serious for you to really look at so that you can make that growth in your life, you start joking about it. This tells me that's a defense mechanism that you're tapping into. So let's stop doing that and let's really dive in deep and get to know what's inside there. And if it wasn't for that, I would probably continually do that kind of thing. But now, I look at things and I look at from a realistic perspective and a life-changing perspective, instead of looking for how can I make fun of this, which is what I spent many years doing. And it was a defense mechanism. I'll share with you. In 8th grade, I remember it well. 8th grade, all the kids were standing around making fun of me because I got no boobs. I had this slopey nose and all this stuff. They were making fun of all these things about me. And I said to myself, from now on, I'm going to make fun of myself first. I'm going to beat them to it. And so I became my best enemy. What is it? My own worst enemy. Like a lot of people, I became my own worst enemy. Now, it was through working with my life coach that she helped me to see that I could become my own best cheerleader. And from that point forward, working with her, I started looking at how can I cheer myself on? Instead of saying bad things about myself, let me say great things about myself. And now I do. I used to think it was bragging And you know what? Brag on all day long, because I want to hear you talk about yourself in good ways. I want you to tell me how amazing and brilliant you are. That excites me. It's not bragging at all. And I know you love that because the Stop the Self-Bullying movement. Oh my gosh, I was the biggest bully to myself, right? And so,
I was just like, oh my gosh, she's singing my
speaking my
song.
language.
And it's so true though. And that's one of the things that I do point out in my book too, is that, the self-deprecating humor is such a shield for that behavior. And we have to really become aware of that. And, that's really the only way to overcome that and get through that, is to actually acknowledge that you do that. And that is just another reason why you've had such great success, and you have. And I want to talk about that. I know, the past year has been very life changing for you, and you've taken on a project that I am so honored to be part of. And I'd like for you to just give us a quick synopsis of Action Takers Publishing, and a little bit about how that's come to be, because your entrepreneurial journey has expanded and changed a little bit in the past year. So if you could kind of tell us a little bit about that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's changed just a little bit. It's been a drastic change. It's 7.5 years ago when I quit that job and I started on this entrepreneurial journey. I had so many ups and downs. As a matter of fact, Sherri, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but that first thing that I did, I lost $70,000 right out of the gate. It was about 6 months into my journey, and I lost 70,000, 70,000.00 dollars. I lost that money. But at the end of the day, I looked at it and said, and it was an event that I planned called Lemon Zest and Garlic Fest. So at the end of the day, I looked at it and I said, it's been 6 months, $70,000. Look at what I learned. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much of what not to do. The next one's going to be a lot better. I didn't quit. I didn't, give up. I didn't stop doing it. I kept moving forward because I learned so much from that experience. And then I looked at that and I said, $70,000, 6 months. If I was in college for event planning, I would have spent 4 years and a lot more than $70,000. And not only that, I wouldn't have had the life lessons. I still would have had to go out there and do my first event, and I still probably would have failed in certain ways. Now, I don't look at failure anymore as failure. I look at failure as lessons learned. So now it's interesting because my mindset has changed so drastically in these last years that as I'm going through a storm now, I ask myself, in the storm, what am I learning right now? And I'll tell you what, it makes it so I can move right out of that situation and into the positivity, and then also say, oh, I need to get on a different path. I need to ask for help from here, or ask for help, from all these different people. So with that said, it was August of 2021, because we're 2022. I can't believe it. But August of 2021, we had 2 books that, I was publishing these books, and 2 books, and both Sherri's in both of them. One of them is called The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and the other one is called Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore. I was getting ready to publish these books, and I decided we're going to publish them 2 weeks apart. Okay, that's hard as it is, right? But I was like, we're doing it. We're making it happen. And so we published The Fearless Entrepreneurs, and it hit that #1 international best-selling status. And I think it was 8 hours that we did that. It was such an exciting high that we were all on. So much fun, so much fun. And then 8 days later, for some reason, I went to look on Amazon and I saw that Invisible No More, Invincible Forevermore was at number 146. Now you have to be at number 100 to be a bestseller. So I went to all the ladies, and now this was 8 days after The Fearless Entrepreneurs, not 2 weeks. So this is 6 days early. I went to all the ladies in the book and I said, hey, we're at number 146. Do you want to go for number 1 today? And they were hands down, yes, let's do it. So we jumped in. Oh my God. In 5 hours, we hit that #1 international best-selling status. And we stayed in #1 for 8 days. My favorite part was that we passed up, some people like Brene Brown. And I was like, oh my gosh, we passed up Brene Brown. This is so exciting, And so what happened is after those 8 days of being #1, I looked at this and I said, Lynda, you are great at this. You are great at this. You know what you're doing. So why don't you do this full time? You absolutely love it. So I said, this is what I'm doing. Book publishing. We specialize in the collaboration books, bringing authors together to share their story. It's a lot easier. You only write a chapter, you don't write an entire book. We do all the marketing, we put everything together and tell you what to do. So we're guiding you the whole entire way. And so our motto is that we make it fast, fun, and easy for people to become a #1 best-selling author. But oh my gosh, Sherri, it's been a whirlwind, and we're working on some really great projects right now. One with you, Fabulous After 50. Whoop, whoop. We're both
And
after
you are the
50.
epitome of that, and I'm so pleased that you are in the book. And that's one of the things that I'm seeing as a common theme through the Woman of Worth award winners is a lot of them are in their 50s or 40s and 50s, and you know what, they're just doing what they love. And
Yeah.
that's what Fabulous After 50 is really all about, is living the life that you love. I always say loving the life you live and living the life you love. But it's just an extraordinary collection of people who are just, happy. And it isn't even, I
Yeah.
don't think that they're making the most money. They may very well be, but they're just doing what they love,
Yeah.
and in the center of happiness doing it.
Well, I think there comes a point in your life, for a lot of people, you can't say for everybody, but there comes a point in your life where you realize that, I'm getting closer to the end than I am at the beginning. And so like I have this many more years left. We don't know how many more years. I know that I'm going to live to be 116. So I'm only halfway through my life. And so I have a lot of years left, but what am I going to do with those years? Am I going to wallow in all the pain? Am I going to wallow in the things that I'm not doing? No, I'm going to spend the rest of my life having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who are making a positive impact on the planet.
Yep.
That is my own personal mantra. Like that, I've been saying that since 2015. And so that's what I'm on this path to continue to do that. So if I'm finding people in my life that are not really that pleasant to be around, guess what? I turn around and walk away. I'm not putting up with that. No more. I don't need that. That doesn't create positivity in my life. And so I'm not doing that. No
I
more.
love that. There's my stake in the ground. I love it. Okay, so I have one more question that I would like to ask you. And so I would normally say 50 years from now, but I don't think that's 116. So I think we're going to have to go with 75 years from now.
Okay.
Because I would like to ask you, we'll just put it this way, when you are gone from this planet and you have spent these many years creating the legacy that you have wanted to leave because you are writing your own history. When somebody is talking about Lynda Sunshine West, what is it that they're going to be saying about you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That first, there's a lot of things they're going to be saying, a lot of great things, because I know, it's interesting because Sherri, as I mentioned earlier, bragging, as I say stuff like that, I think that some people might think you're bragging, but you know what? If you think I'm bragging, then you got some work to do yourself. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yep.
So here's the thing is I am on this mission. Our mission at Action Takers Publishing actually is to empower 5 million women and men to share their stories with the world to make a greater impact on the planet. So that is my legacy that I'm leaving behind. It's very doubtful that I will hit 5 million while I'm still here alive. It might happen. It can happen. I'm not saying it won't, but it's unlikely because that's a pretty large number. And we're like number 154. So we got a little ways to go. So my legacy that I'm going to leave behind is that, is this Action Takers Publishing, that they continue to carry on my work, my vision, my dream, my desire, my passion when I'm long gone. That Action Takers Publishing, that people are like, oh my gosh, you got to go with them because they're amazing. They make it fast, fun, and easy. Like that's our thing, right? So that's what I see, Sherri, is sharing the stories with the world. And this is so important to me because when I ran away at 5 and I came home, riddled with that fear. And I basically shut my mouth. I stifled my own voice. I was scared to speak out. I was a people pleaser. And so with that, I was also scared to speak out. when I started sharing my story, which was at age 51, after I started working with that life coach. Like everything started for me at 51 when I worked with her. So when I started sharing my story, I found the impact that it made with other people's lives. It gave them that, what we call permission, which I don't like that term, but it gave them permission to share their story also. One of the things I came up with is to be brave and share your weaknesses, for in your weaknesses, others see your strengths. And what this means is oftentimes we don't want to be vulnerable because it appears weak. The reality is when we're vulnerable, we are being strong, because it's hard for people to be vulnerable. So you think about that. When you're being vulnerable, you're being strong. So it's to be brave and share those weaknesses, share that vulnerability, because in your vulnerability, people will see your strengths. And that was something that was really important for me while sharing my story. And so as I started sharing my story more and more and more, I found more people saying, she did that, I can do that too.
Yes.
And that's what our stories are all about. That's why it's so important for me to do this book publishing, is because it's an opportunity to share more and more stories to make an impact in the planet.
I love that. And that's, you just articulated why I love being part of your world. Lynda, I want to salute you for being a Woman of Worth 2022 award winner. I'm so proud to know you. And I know other people are going to be inspired. Can you share how somebody can connect with you?
Definitely. You can connect with me there at actiontakerspublishing.com. It's actiontakerspublishing.com. We got lots of great stuff going on. Whether you want to be in a collaboration book, start your own collaboration book, or write your own book and have us publish it for you, we're here for you. We make it fast, fun, and easy.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I can't articulate with the right words how proud I am to know you. You are a woman of worth, and I salute you.
Thank you, Sherri.